Oh, this is your Gerard. This is Gerard, editor-in-chief of Filipino Soul, phasing out SGIB magazine. Soldiers got intentions, believe that. Because everyone should be soldiering for something. A dream, a goal, an idea, a train of thought, something. Mr. Vegas, some representing the purple one, the Continental, the Prince of Wannabes. I know I haven't tagged you in a while, but all is good. Sometimes it's hard for me to find time just for me, you know, to do and say what it is I want to say. Enough said. You know, a lot's going on here in the Philippines. You know, a lot in the sense that whereas time and time again I read about how the President Droctor, is trying his best to look after his people here in the Philippines. I just got through reading the papers. I'm only going to use one hand, so I can't go through everything. You know, like for instance, the vice president here of the Philippines, I don't know her name, but she has said that the terrorists are using social media as a form of mass destruction. And she asked the young people to counter that with messages of positive and love and good stories, which she's right. You know, it's always amazes me how hatred is a lot quicker and easier to spread than love is, you know, and that's what seems to be the thing here. You know, I can't remember all the articles I read, but anyway, be that as it may, you know, I'm going to my files. I reached out to Senator Pacquiao. I'm not pronouncing his name. Is Manny Pacquiao to go on the cover. You know, I did a mock cover and sent him a letter, introduction letter, after speaking to his office, because I've decided that I want to put a Filipino flavor on the cover of this issue. It's coming along good. You know, I'm very grateful for what how it's working. You know, since I've left Vegas and since I'm not moving too fast. You know, it's amazing how I read in the papers how, you know, I was talking to a brother from Brooklyn, as a matter of fact. You know, I met him and we were talking and he was telling me about his experience in the Philippines. And I could not believe the stories of what he was telling me, because it wasn't very pleasant of what he was been going through. You know, although he's a merchant seaman, you know, he does what he do. He has a family here and etc. But you know, his belief in God, you know, his belief in faith, you know, his faith is what's keeping him strong and moving around. For instance, when he was younger, he had cancer at the age of 9, and his mother told him that there was no God, and he went to a doctor when he joined the military. He had this big swelling and this big oil on his arm that he was able to get through the physical, because he told them, you know, he'd hurt himself. But when they did a biopsy of it, they found that it was cancer. And their solution in the military was to cut his chest open here and, you know, and go in and try to remove it. And they gave him like 1 year to live. And this is like when he was 19 years old. And so he went home, and like 3 days later, you know, he kept saying to himself, you know, it would be nice to go to sleep and wake up and have this, and this not be here. And sure enough, after 3 days, when he woke up, the big cyst that he had on his arm was gone. And he went to the doctor because he was scheduled to make a decision on what type of treatment he was going to use to deal with this growth that was on his arm. And he kept saying to the doctor, he said, "Doctor," he says, "wouldn't it be something if I went to sleep and woke up and this was gone?" And the doctor said, yeah, we'll be fine, but what are you going to do? He said, "No, doctor, just think." He says, "You know, suppose I went to bed and I kept saying, you know, God, you know." He said, "Yeah, but that's not going to happen." He says, "You have a couple of options to deal with this. What are you going to do?" And to make a long story short, he did that several times till the doctor got frustrated and said, "Okay, look, enough's enough. You're living in fantasy. What are you going to do?" And he says, "Doctor," and he rolled up his sleeve, and the growth was gone. The doctor's jaws dropped. The doctor could not believe that the cancerous tumor that he had on his elbow was gone. And he said, "Doctor," he says, because the doctor showed on the wall all his accolades, all his diplomas, and all this showing how qualified he was to give the prognosis of what he gave him and all that stuff, you know. And he says, doctor, he says, now for the rest of the time you're in practice, when someone comes to your office and tells and you want to tell them that there's no hope, you know, that you have to remember this time and said, if you pray, you know, because I've seen miracles happen. The brother's still alive today, cancer free. And I'm going to interview him Sunday, because he's also an artist. So I'm going to put him in the magazine. His story, his journey is phenomenal. He's a painter now. I'm not going to tell you any more than that, because I want you to catch it on there. You know, with Diamond and I, you know, I'm crossing that milestone, you know, of thinking that she might be with child, and come to find out what happened. Those of you who are on top of my Facebook, I'm not going to say enough said, you know what the dealio was and what happened. But I have to make a decision, you know, and I've decided to, you know, instead of saying next, you know what I'm saying, I've decided to, you know, to keep her in my life, because, you know, I like the simplicity of her way of thinking. You know, it's sometimes very challenging. You know, sometimes, you know, I want to say no. You know, you can't do. You know, I remember when I was with Gianna and Janelle, when they were growing up, there was 2 words that we never said in the house. We never used the word no, and we never used the word because. You know, and if you ask my youngest today, I said, what does the because mean? And she would say, I know, because is not an answer, it's a delay to an answer. I said, that's right. You know, so those words I don't use. You know, she also likes to use the word I hate that. I said, no, you got to understand, you know, you cannot, you know, go automatically to the extreme in your way of thinking. You know, to hate something, to hate someone. You know, it's funny because there was someone on the internet, on Facebook, who wrote something about along the lines that, you know, suppose, you know, don't put nobody on a pedestal, because if you put them on a pedestal, then you find out that, you know, they're not worth it, or they're a piece of shit or whatever. And then I start thinking, yeah, that happens. But what about the times you spent together until you reached that conclusion? I'm sure it was how do you call it? I'm trying to think of a Prince lyrics, but I'm sure it was ice creams, butterscotch ice creams, you know, starfish and coffee. I'm sure it was all magical. It was all beautiful. It was all, you are the one. Oh, you, thank you. Oh, thank you. Before you got to know that person. So you can't go automatically say that, you know, don't put them on a pedestal because you find out that they're not. Oh, yes, nobody's perfect. You know, nobody's perfect. But, you know, you might say, I'd rather hear a phrase that's saying, you know, don't put anybody on a pedestal, although the good times you might be having, and then you find out that, you know, some things in the closet that you're not happy with, you know, and then you had to leave. Okay, that's fine. But just don't go for an extreme, like, hey, you know, you got your dislike or whatever. Like, I have this thing with her, you know, because she has, I'm in the Philippines, she has this habit of whatever she eats, just automatically shove it in my mouth. You know, it's like, you know, she feeds me like a kid sometimes. Sometimes she feeds me with her hands and all that stuff. And it's interesting because I'm like sitting there, next thing I know, out the corner of my eye, I see this hand coming, going like this. And I have to say no. She said, you like it? So I told her, we have to come up with a system that when you put something in my mouth, and rather than my saying I don't like it, I say it's interesting. Now that's my clue to you, that when I say it's interesting means that I don't like it. So, okay, so that way, you know, because my mama always said that if you haven't got nothing good to say, don't say nothing at all. Okay, so with that being said, I'm here now in the park. I'm reading my paper. You know, Diamond is having her nails done, which is good. It gave me a chance to do this little shout out to you. You know, so I'm in Cebu, Philippines. This is the park that we come to all the time. It's Saturday here, and those of you in the United States, it's actually Friday. You know, so I was going to go to the post office because my package finally came. that Colors sent me, you know, my hair stuff, because, you know, Diamond says, did you have your hair cut? Your hair's getting shorter. I said, no, baby, it's not getting shorter. It's knotting up. It's shrinking. So it was adorable to let her know that, no, my hair's not getting shorter. It's just that it needs to be relaxed again. So Colors sent me some relaxer about over a month ago. And so I'd given up hope I was going to get it, but finally, I think it finally came. So I'm going to go get that. It's Saturday, so the post office closed. But anyway, while she's going to have her nails done and all that stuff, I decided to come. I always come to the park. We come into the park. You know, I got my bottle of Jack Daniels, and you know, and I'm teetotaling right about now. And it's just a beautiful day. You know, and I want to say to you that life is so wonderful, man, that no matter what you're going through or what you've been through, you know, no matter how hard something is, that there'll come to the point where you can move beyond it. You know, I did it. God knows I can go